Vrolijk Koningsdag. That was a horrible pronunciation, but it's King's Day here in the Netherlands. It's one of these days where I get to appreciate the fact that I have not explored much of Dutch culture. I have been living here for about a year and a half, but the thing is, there's kind of been a pandemic, so I haven't really had the chance to go out and explore much, so I'm not too familiar with Dutch culture. I live with a Dutch person, but he grew up in Belgium, so he doesn't really know too much about Dutch culture. I haven't had an opportunity to experience very many things here in the Netherlands outside of, supermarkets and such. Over the next year or so, I hope that I get to, go out and explore the Netherlands a bit more. I'd like to do a bit more traveling around the country, and I'd like to do some more things. Like, I'm studying abroad. I've moved country. I'm probably never going to be living in Ireland again. So, I'd like to get outside my realm of normality. I'd like to do things that are more common in the Netherlands. Sure, I have a bike and a cycle everywhere, and that's lovely, but my only real connection to Dutch culture and experience is just buying some poffertjes or some stroopwafels when I go to the supermarket. It's kind of underwhelming. Like, moving country, thousands of kilometers away from home, a bit disappointing that that's the only thing I've done. I would very much like to do some more. It's just, there's a pandemic and I'm a bit tied up and screwed. Though, when it comes to the pandemic, things are getting better. As a little bit of a souvenir for the weird chaos we're in at the moment, I went to Lidl over the weekend and I got this, which is a rapid COVID-19 test. This is an example of how bad this pandemic has gotten, in that you can now just buy tests in the supermarket, and it's basically the same as a pregnancy test, only cheaper. When I was flying back to the Netherlands after Christmas back in Ireland, I had to get tested, but that was using a different technology. That was using the PCR, or the polymerized chain reaction test, which is much more sensitive, but it's also wildly more expensive. Like, this in Lidl cost me €2.89. The PCR test I had to take before being allowed to fly back to the Netherlands cost me €100. This works in about 15 minutes. The PCR test works in about a day. So it was a bit of a rush to get my results before I was able to come back to the Netherlands. With tests like these being much more available, places around the Netherlands are starting to open up again. Or at least they're trying to. Though personally I'm a little bit skeptical about the whole thing because, well, they're not as effective. The Netherlands is a very liberal country and it doesn't like to mandate things. So as a result of that, these tests are actually optional. So you can never guarantee that you're surrounded by people who are clear of COVID. But either way of looking at it, I still think it's really good that we're getting better. If you look at the numbers, about just over a quarter of people in Ireland have gotten their first dose of the vaccine. In the UK, it's over 50 or 60%. Here in the Netherlands, it's 27%, which is about on track with the rest of Europe. Things are looking good, unless you're in India. In India, things have gotten wildly out of control. There's a new strain over there. Hundreds of thousands of people have gotten infected. It's a catastrophe. It's much worse than it ever was, especially in the United States, where it was awful this time last year. India is looking rough, but thankfully here in Europe, where I live, things are looking positive. I can only hope that we're out of this a year from now. But for now, I will be staying in my bedroom, not going out anywhere, not traveling, because that's responsible. That's the best thing to do. And as unfortunate as it is, there is a possibility that I will not be able to get back to Ireland this summer. I miss my friends. The only people that I've seen that aren't my family or my roommates are the 3 other Irish people that happen to live in Delft. It's unfortunate, but this just happens to be the way that it is. Future Alan, please tell me things are better. Do I need to prepare for anything? Is there another onslaught coming? Either way, I'll see you tomorrow.